Defender from Avon, Indiana, number 24, Sydney Graneman. Forward midfielder, wearing number 19, Brandy Philippi. Lighting issue. Midfielder from Macomb, Michigan, number 25, Maddie Farrell. Defender from Girard, number 31, Andrea Scatino. And a forward from Avon Lake, number 33, Margot Duval. The BW Yellow Jackets are coached by Jim Woitkin, assisted by Tara Bowen, Allie Woitkin, also student coaches Addison Baird and Casey Didion. At this time, we ask that all fans please rise and kindly remove your caps as we honor America and those who protect our freedom at home and abroad with the playing of our national anthem.
From Georgie Finnie Stadium in Berea, Ohio. Welcome inside our coverage of Baldwin Wallace soccer as the Yellow Jackets open the home portion of their OAC schedule with a very important matchup against one of the better teams, not just in the region, but frankly in the country. The Ohio Northern Polar Bears come to town with a record of 7-2-2 on the season, and they are receiving votes in the most recent national poll from the United Soccer Coaches Association. Big matchup on tap tonight, Jackets and the Polar Bears in the second of the 9 games in OAC play. I'm Brendan Gulick alongside Cole McDaniel. Cole, this has not been a matchup that's been favorable to the Yellow Jackets in recent years. But BW's got a young team, and perhaps sometimes ignorance is bliss when you haven't had experiences against some of the premier powers in the league. Sometimes you play a little bit looser and more relaxed.
Yeah, and good to be with you, Brendan, and that's exactly right. I think it's one of those things, like you said, ignorance is bliss, and at times you haven't seen what the other team can do. Some of them aren't really as scared of them going out there because they haven't gone up against Ohio Northern yet. So maybe that will carry it into it and they can be more fluid. But I think at times ignorance is bliss a little bit more when you're on a winning streak. Right now the Yellow Jackets on a tiny bit of a skid. And so I think they might come out a little bit cautious, but it's important to stand strong and try to get a point out of this, if not more.
Underway here this evening with the Jackets in white and Ohio Northern in their black tops, gray shorts, and orange numbers and lettering. Starting lineups coming momentarily, but you referenced the skid. The Yellow Jackets enter this game on BW 7-5 overall, but they've lost 3 in a row to Grove City, Ohio Wesleyan, and the OAC opener to Capital. Frankly, those first 2 were really frustrating because the Yellow Jackets just didn't play very well. The last time out against Capital, I don't think the score appropriately reflected how Baldwin Wallace played. Head coach Jim Woitkin was much more pleased with the effort against the Crusaders, especially in that first half of the game. They played really well. Capital is an outstanding team, scored 4 goals in the second half and put BW away. Don't get that confused. He wasn't happy they lost 4-1, but was certainly more proud of the effort the team put forward, considering what they had done the last couple of times prior. Kayla Webb commits a foul, and the Yellow Jackets give away a free kick here.
Well, and I can agree with you and Jim in the sense that they put together a better first half than the second half. But one thing was they completely just fell apart in the second, and it was just shot after shot, and really all the possession was in Capital's favor. And that's what one thing we're seeing with this current BW team. And no matter how they play in the first half, in the last 3 games, it's all fallen apart in the second. So it's important to not only play strong in the first, but continue that through after the halftime talk.
Last time these two teams met was October 3rd a year ago, and Ohio Northern had their way with the Jackets. 5-1. It was the third of 4 consecutive losses for BW. You might remember last year the team opened OAC play with 3 straight setbacks, Capital, Northern, and Otterbein, but rallied to win 5 of the next 6 and made the conference tournament, which was certainly a goal of theirs at the beginning of the season. Let's give you the starting lineup, so we'll begin with BW, who, unfortunately, this is becoming a theme. They are playing shorthanded tonight. No Kenna Stones in the midfield, and not just for her ability in the midfield, but her presence on set pieces. Kenna Stone's absence tonight is a really big loss. Michelina Rush for the second game in a row, not available after she was injured in that loss to Ohio Wesleyan. Emma Bruno is in goal for the Jackets. She's got Andrea Scatino and Morgan Gray as her center backs. Her left back is still Josie Fenn. Kenna Poptic is at right back tonight. Maddie Farrell in the midfield, along with Amanda Donahue, who gets the start in place of the injured Stones. Sydney Graneman as well. And then up on the offensive end, Brandy Philippi, Kayla Webb, and Margot Duval will start. It's a 4-3-3 offensive look for Baldwin Wallace. Good takeaway here. Farrell slots one over. Duval couldn't quite catch to it. It was a good effort that may have produced a shot from a tough angle. Meanwhile, that's Carissa Beckman, who's a pretty solid defender at left back for Ohio Northern. Beckman, a sophomore out of Mount Notre Dame High School down in the greater Cincinnati area. Other starters defensively include Jersey Zito, Sydney Leshnak. And I'm trying to figure out who's over at the right back spot. I think that's Jane Rearing. Yeah, it sure is. That's a starting defensive end of the field. On the Ohio Northern side, Megan Grierson, a very good goaltender, not just this year, but throughout her career. She is allowing less than 0.9 goals per game. Really impressive margin. And she's got this Ohio Northern team playing well.
Yeah, and one thing you've seen from the Yellow Jackets so far, and of course, we're only about 5 minutes into this one so far. It's one of those situations where the Yellow Jackets have been able to get into Ohio Northern's attacking end, and nothing much for Ohio Northern yet either.
I think we may have been working through some technical difficulties on the audio end, so if you were experiencing that, we apologize, but we're working through it. Meanwhile, other starters for Ohio Northern include Jenna Fuller, who's the team's leading scorer, 10 goals. Just had that shot blocked from a step inside the 18. Coming off a hat trick, Jenna Fuller is the real deal for sure. Abigail Matthews, you'll see her on the midfield side. Won't take a ton of shots, but a good, capable player. Megan Breyer having a nice season. She's got 5 points for the team, 3 assists, in fact, which is most on Ohio Northern. No foul there. Rose Nienaber is a captain. Senior out of Oak Hills High down in Cincinnati. Rose having a very good season. Mentioned Carissa Beckman and Sydney Leshnak, Abigail Matthews. Haley Moses is a captain, and keep your eye on Sienna Ward. She also gets the start here this evening. Haley Moses, 3 goals, 2 assists on the season. So that's your starting lineup on both sides. Of course, Mark Batman's been the head man at Ohio Northern for a little while, and he's done a really good job with the Ohio Northern Polar Bears. 16th season. 206 wins, 82 losses, 29 draws. That's a .650 win percentage. And he's consistently got his team among the most aggressive and most prolific offenses in the Ohio Athletic Conference.
Yeah, and there's a lot of factors that go into that, one being recruiting. And not only has Ohio Northern been able to recruit up here, but dug down into the Cincinnati area where there's also a lot of soccer talent down there.
Boy, there sure is. The club level down in Cincinnati, you don't have to trace too far back to find some really impressive names. Obviously, Rose Lavelle is the biggest of them, but it speaks to the quality of soccer in that area. You don't have to go any further than perhaps an FC Cincinnati game to find out how passionate fans have been for this sport down in Southern Ohio as well. It's pretty fun to follow, no doubt. Left back, Carissa Beckman, or I should say Beckham, excuse me, with the left foot, and it's intercepted by Josie Fenn. 8th minute, no score.
Well, one thing that's interesting with the strategy with the Yellow Jackets is that Kayla Webb's over there on the left wing starting the game today. She's been on the right wing all year, and she's an important factor for that offense, but they haven't been able to get her going. She hasn't got any goals or any assists yet, but maybe getting her on the left wing will allow her to cut in, get off some good shots.
You think Kayla Webb is perhaps feeling a little bit more of the pressure with the offense here lacking in recent times, considering Kenna Stone's not available, Michelina Rush was kind of finding her own. She's not available tonight.
I think she feels the pressure, but the fact of the matter is they haven't found her the ball enough and in good enough positions, and that plays a big role into what's happening. And I think she's been stranded out there on the right wing, and she's put in good crosses.
Fuller with her left foot strikes it wide left.
It's just a situation where if you're putting in good crosses and nobody's in there to follow it up, I mean, it's not going to happen. And I think she's been stranded out there, and I think putting her on the left wing might be a good situation. And maybe she can make something happen for herself and use the foot skills that she has and try to get in and get a shot off.
Tonight's Yellow Jacket women's soccer game brought to you by Dan Andrews and Olympic Forest Products, a global recycling company. By Papa John's Pizza in Berea, the official pizza provider of BW Athletics. You can order online, papajohns.com, or call 440-891-1900 as Bruno makes another save on a Jenna Fuller left-footed shot. And lastly, tonight presented to you by the Oswald Company. They'll handle all of your insurance and risk management needs. Ohio Northern continuing to possess here deep in their offensive third. Moses decides to pass in a negative direction here, rearing with her right foot looking to cross. Morgan Gray's head got on it. Farrell clears it off to the side. Still alive here for Matthews as she switches sides of the park. Well, the Jackets have to make sure they're well organized tonight. Any lapses in judgment could quickly prove costly. Fuller's 1-2 time is not connected.
When Fuller up there, as we mentioned earlier, she is a goal-scoring threat, and I think one of the most impressive things is coming into the game today. She's got 10 goals off of 40 shots, so 1 out of every 4 shots she takes, she puts it in the back of the net.
That's crazy effective.
It's a very efficient way of scoring.
In the Mcguire Stadium.
Yeah, it's easy to look at the 10 goals and say, okay, this is someone we have to mark. But you're right, the efficiency with which she does it, goodness gracious. Ohio Northern on the board quickly. I don't know who miscommunicated there. That looked like a cross from Megan Breyer. And perhaps Emma Bruno didn't see the ball through the bodies of the defense. I'm not sure. But Breyer scores on a ball that slowly rolled toward the cage. How about that? Her second of the year.
We'll see who they give it to, because it looked like Fuller might have gotten a touch on it. So it's going to be kind of questionable about who it's going to go to at the moment.
Well, whatever the case, A little frustrating for BW giving up a goal here in the 11th minute. They need to focus on getting the ball out of their defensive end. Again, they're playing a really quality opponent tonight in Ohio Northern, whose 2 losses on the season have come against Case Western Reserve, who we've mentioned a couple times throughout the year. They've got perhaps their best women's soccer team in the last decade over on the other side of Cleveland. So a 3-1 loss to Case Western Reserve, nothing to hang your head about. And their other loss came a little earlier in the season, September the 7th, against the Thunder of Wheaton College in Illinois. Wheaton has only lost once all year. They're 10-1-1 and among the premier teams in the country. Ohio Northern has also beaten some very good opponents, including Calvin and Carnegie Mellon. And they opened up conference with a 5-0 smackdown at against Marietta. The game was played at home for them.
And there you have it. Megan Breer gets her first goal of the year. Fuller did not get a touch.
Free kick for Ohio Northern. Yeah, you're right. It was really close, but I kind of thought the ball didn't change directions. I do think Fuller stuck her leg out to try and deflect it in, but yep. I didn't see the ball change direction as it slowly rolled through. So a tough luck early on goal. 12th minute, 1-0 Ohio Northern.
And a quick correction, that is Breer's second goal on the season.
Yeah, 2 goals and a team high 3 assists. Well, it's still an Ohio Northern throw-in.
Well, and you mentioned that the Yellow Jackets will be disappointed with giving up the goal, but I think it's also the way it happened. It was miscommunication in the 6. And I think you'd rather stay in front of them. And, hey, if they beat you with a long shot and you just couldn't get to it, then props to them. You know, they did what they were supposed to do, and they did it well. But when you're playing against a team like this and the first goal comes off of miscommunication, that stings a bit.
So the Jackets have an uphill climb here this evening. Meanwhile, it's a busy night across the conference. Wilmington and Muskingum are playing down at Muskie. That game is scoreless. They just got underway. We'll try to get you some updates from Otterbein and Marietta, as well as Mount Union and John Carroll. Those games are also 7 o'clock starts. Looks like Capital and Heidelberg played at 4 o'clock this afternoon on the OAC website. But when I pulled up the live stats there, it says the game hasn't started yet. So we'll see if we can come to some clarity on what happened between the Cardinals and the Student Princes. It is an absolutely spectacular night. I don't care if you're playing soccer or anything else, just to be outside all day today. Northeast Ohio has been spoiled this week with some fantastic fall weather. It's been dry, but still just a little bit warmer than you might usually think. The temperatures are peaking right around 72, 73 degrees. And as you can tell, watching the young ladies out on the field tonight, they, to a person, do not have any sleeves on. It is still warm enough to be outside without sleeves. From the right corner, Breyer has her cross deflected for a corner. Ohio Northern 1, Baldwin Wallace nothing. Yellow Jackets don't have a shot tonight yet. Ohio Northern has dominated possession here through the first quarter hour. Meanwhile, Rose Nienaber ready to take the corner kick. Plays it into the box. A couple of players went up in the air for it. Nobody came down initially. Finally, it's played out by BW. I think Amanda Donahue helped play some good defense there. Left-footed forward by Scatino, but intercepted quickly. Not on target. Well, not that the Jackets needed to think of it any other way, but this has been a bit of a wake-up call here. This team is very good. And right now, through the first 15 minutes, Baldwin Wallace needs to take a big step forward.
Yeah, I think one of the big things, too, is not only is the team good, but obviously the Yellow Jackets haven't had any set pieces yet, but you have to look at the size of Ohio Northern right now and just say, hey, we're not going to win much in the air. We've got to keep it down tonight. And it's going to be a tough challenge for them because they prefer the set pieces. They prefer that. But it's time to learn how to play on the floor and move up effectively.
Good touch toward the middle of the field. Philippi getting the chance to start tonight. Somebody that Jim Woodkin and his staff are very high on. They really like her potential and think she can have a huge impact on this program moving forward. But again, she's only a freshman. And it's not so much about an experience factor. You've played this deep into the season and you've gotten meaningful minutes. It's not as though the game is moving too fast for you. But I do think it's fair to point out that when you're playing against an opponent who might be the best team you've seen all year, there's something to be said for maybe a new measuring stick, right? You can't really wrap your head around what you haven't seen yet. And the Yellow Jackets saw a good team in Capital, but some of the OAC prognosticators are probably prone to say Ohio Northern and Otterbein are the two favorites this year in the league, with Capital certainly in that conversation. The way the season's gone so far, this Ohio Northern side is very good. And unfortunately for BW, the schedule's not going to get easier on Saturday when they take on the Cardinals. But anyways, you think about it from a freshman perspective. Cole, maybe take me back to when you were playing in your freshman year and what it was like to be in the middle of the year, get into conference, and see one of the premier teams in the league.
Well, not just one of the premier teams. My freshman year, Ohio Northern's men's team was ranked third in the country.
No kidding.
So got to go up against them, and it was definitely tough. It was one of those things where it's a different game, not only the physicality aspect, but the speed. And through the non-conference play, it's also different. Obviously the college game's a big step up from high school, and it kind of depends where people played. If they went to a small high school, then maybe their club was faster. But then some who went to bigger high schools, maybe it was their high school game that was faster. But regardless, the college game ups in speed, and you hit conference, and it's that much higher of an intensity. And when you go up against a team like this, it's a challenge, and you just have to stay dialed in and communicate. And it's a learning curve.
18th minute of action. That one's sent out. I think the offside flag may have gone up. Yeah, he did point over to it. Tim Dickin, our head referee, James Dooling, and Vincent Ragone are this evening's assistant refs. No fourth official, by the way, just a Baldwin Wallace University representative working over at the scoring table. So just these three officials working this evening's game. Jacket throw, Kenna Poptick will get on the end of it. Maddie Farrell up in the air. Farrell with her left foot. And she immediately puts her hands on her forehead, disappointed with what ended up aspiring there. Well, after the offense had a tough opening 10 minutes, things have slowed down a little bit here. Ohio Northern having to play a bit more on their end of the field.
And you're right. I think they're backed up a bit. And it's one of those things, too, where you see they have the ability, you see they have the confidence, but it's almost like they're taking it slow to start off, and they're just trying to look for kind of the little dinks and dunks if you see that around. And we've seen it from the goalkeeper playing it out, and they're kind of getting themselves stuck in because of that.
Well, the first real opportunity for Baldwin Wallace tonight on a free kick. Morgan Gray will hit it. Plays a pretty good ball into the box, but nobody got on the end of it for BW. Headed away by Sydney Leshnak. Tried to keep it alive, but picked off in the midfield. And Emma Bruno will pick this one up. Otterbein Marietta scoreless. They're in the 17th minute. No score between Wilmington and Muskingum. They're in the 25th minute of their contest. John Carroll Mount Union 0-0. They're in the 20th minute. Ohio Northern on the right side. Breyer, who scored in the 11th minute, played that one forward. Boy, the Jackets are having the ball pulled off their foot way too often, and they are not winning many of the 50-50 balls here in the early part of this game. Well, it's a good little pass forward from Nienaber to the streaking left back Beckham, who slides it across. That was well defended by Donahue.
And that's a ball right inside the 6, and too fast for Bruno to come out and get it. And just nobody quite there for Ohio Northern, but that's the ball that is going to zing a team most any time.
Yeah, that crossed the end line. Bruno couldn't hang on to the ball, and it cost him a corner kick.
Yeah, and with the big defenders coming up and talking about the size of Ohio Northern, this is very dangerous, especially with Kenneth Stones being out. There's not many people who can mark and match up in size here.
Rose Nienaber playing it toward the back post, and it's headed by Ward. A pretty good effort there from Bruno. Had it marked well. 1-0 Ohio Northern, halfway through the opening half tonight. And the Yellow Jackets get ready to make a sub. You can see perhaps on the far side of your screen, Brandy Philippi went over to the far side, and Jim Woitkin was explaining to her something about her tactical effort. We'll see if it pays off. Heavy touch and a turnover. Yellow Jackets are waiting to check on Alex Guido. That was misplayed by Morgan Gray. Ohio Northern has it. The Jackets get lucky.
Well, and going back to the Ohio Northern corner, one thing I want to point out is that was an out-swinging ball.
Sure.
And when the ball's on the other side, if they're going to have the same corner kick taker, look for the in-swinger, and it placed right on top of the goalkeeper. And with that size, it could be easy just to head it straight down across the line.
That's a great observation, no doubt. Breyer on her way through the middle of the park. Trying to connect with Fuller. That one hits the back post and ricochets in. Ohio Northern, 2-0. Sienna Ward puts it in from the right side of the box.
Can't place that one any better. Nobody's getting to that when it's bouncing in off of the inside of the back post and kicking in. That's just a good finish by Ohio Northern. Nothing the Yellow Jackets can do there with that shot.
Number 3, Sienna Ward.
Well, it was a good shot from Sienna Ward, but I feel like she was caught between passing and shooting. And it certainly looked like she was trying to connect with Fuller going down the middle of the field for an easier finish, and Fuller didn't need to get there.
Well, put it this way. Nothing the Yellow Jackets can do with the shot, but as for the build-up, they left her wide open. Bad marking by the defense, and they've got to sort that out because you can't keep giving Ohio Northern free shots inside the 18.
So a second goal about 14 minutes after the first one. Megan Breyer and Sienna Ward built a 2-0 lead for Ohio Northern. Alex Guido came on. Back to work here for Beckham. Touch forward toward Nienaber. Rose with the left foot, puts it on frame. Bruno able to punch it away. Throw in coming, but not before a couple of substitutions. PW bringing Caitlin Jerkago on. She takes Josie Fenn's spot.
Entering the game for the Polar Bears, number 10.
And for Ohio Northern,
Barney.
Emma Barney coming on, a sophomore out of Oak Harbor.
For BW. Entering the contest.
Looks
number
like Sienna
14,
Ward checks out
Caitlin Jerkego.
for Coach Batman.
Well, of course, with Finn being at left back and seeming like that was her mark off of that goal, I think that's why she got pulled there. And Jerkego needs to up the marking now when she gets her opportunity as she's in now.
Finn is a very good defender, but she's in a rut lately. Not sure why, but she's had a tough run of play here the last couple of weeks. Played by Nienaber from the corner to the backside. The Yellow Jackets almost knocked it in the frame themselves on Fuller's follow-up shot. And so here comes a corner kick for Nienaber on the near side. And as you pointed out, anticipating that this one might swing in.
The Polar Bear corner on the opposite side.
And this is one where I think their runners at the back post are starting pretty far away. With the size advantage, try to drop it and right over Bruno's head and just try to knock it down inside the goal.
Well, they've got Bruno covered up right now. Fuller turns away from her. Chaotic in the middle of the box. And Philippi gets it out of there, at least for the time being. Yellow Jackets have not registered a shot offensively yet. We're the 26th minute, and it's 2-0 Ohio Northern. Nienaber right foots it forward. Granneman. Maddie Farrell knocked off the ball. You know, that was the other thing I was going to reference earlier when I was talking about being a freshman this time of the year. A lot of people think of that saying, that thought process, and associate it with game experience. And that's fair. But they don't often think about it from the context of a size and physicality perspective. Most freshmen, especially at this level, are going to be a step behind from the power. You know, it's not just the finesse side of the game. And so when you're playing against a really good team, if you don't have a size advantage and you're relying on youth, as a lot of times the Yellow Jackets have this year, you're going to find out whether or not you've got young players that are willing to stick their nose into some tough spots.
Yeah, and that's spot on. And it's an issue with the high school game and the lifting schedule. And I'm sure some people will say, oh, we didn't lift at all. Some people do come in and say, yeah, we have experienced lifting. And then you get to what's actually being done. It's like, okay, that's not taught properly. That's not really how it should be done. And so once those things get corrected and you get people that come in freshman year, you get time with them in the weight room, you get things straightened out, then you can see the physicality part change and just the strength change. But it does take that little bit of development.
Northern makes a couple of subs. Breyer and Matthews both check out. Lauren Naso and Allison Contenza have subbed on. (2-0) Ohio Northern. Just under 17 minutes left in the first half.
When Ohio Northern just pulling the Yellow Jackets apart at the moment, and the back line is shifted all the way over here, and you see the left wing, Kayla Webb, having to track all the way back into the back line, and she was late on that recovery run. I don't know if she had any communication there, but we can't quite hear that from up here, but she was late to get back to it. If Ohio Northern found it out wide, that would have been straight into the goal.
Well, somehow Nienaber gets forward unmarked. She's in a wide area, uses the left foot, and clears it over the bar. (29th minute). Ohio Northern 2, Baldwin Wallace nothing. Along with Cole McDaniel, I'm Brendan Gulick. Coverage of tonight's game brought to you by Jimmy John's in Middleburg Heights. We're freaky fast, so your sandwich arrives freaky fresh. Call us at 440-625-0745 or place your order online, jimmyjohns.com. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it nearly worked out. It was Contenza on the far side. Turns into another corner kick.
Polar Bear corner kick in the hands of number 22, Rose Nienaber.
Well, it's beginning to get alarming, the number of set pieces Ohio Northern's been able to take here. This is their 6th corner kick. This one doesn't work out the way they want it to. But 6 corner kicks, 8 total shots for the Polar Bears. And you can call for offside there. Meanwhile, the Yellow Jackets still have not taken a shot on goal or otherwise. Poptic sends it ahead. This is an opportunity. Good job, though, by Grierson to come out and pick it up. Good idea, though, from the Yellow Jackets. Like the long ball played forward from Kenneth Poptic, just out of Philippi's reach. Here comes Beckham.
That's a ball.
Boy, that is a great pass. And frankly, pretty impressive vision. Corner kick. Those are things that don't show up on a score sheet, but Beckham's speed is impressive. Ohio Northern takes a quick corner and backfires on him momentarily. Uh-oh, Fuller in space. Saved by Bruno. The follow-up shot is high and wide. Goal kick. Ohio Northern misfires on a golden chance.
And the Yellow Jackets just barely escaped that one from it turning into 3-0. I think just the bump off of that follow just sent it over the bar, and that's why the Yellow Jackets survived that.
Lauren Naso on the miss. BW bringing Caitlin Mcguire into the game. Made a couple of substitutions. Webb goes off. Poptic subs out. Looks like it might be Graneman that also checked out. Maguire will play on the attack, wide on the right. Jay Vasveri is playing in the midfield now for Baldwin Wallace. As Guido and Philippi chase after the ball up top. Actually, it kind of looks like the Yellow Jackets have gone from more of a 4-4-3 to a, 4-3-3 to a 4-4-2 formation here. They're only playing with 2 up top and 4 in the midfield. You see the same thing, or am I losing it?
Yeah, I do see that some things have changed right now, but at the moment, too, the Yellow Jackets are being pulled apart, and so it's hard to tell. I think here off the offsides we'll be able to tell better once they get set up finally.
There's no doubt Mcguire is trying to play further out on the flank, but she's been pulled back a little bit. Maddie Farrell is certainly in the midfield.
Yeah, so right now I do see a 3-5-2 at the moment. 3 center backs. There's a holding midfielder and then creating a diamond with 2 in front. There's 2 wide and 2 forwards up top in the middle.
Olivia Kane comes on here for Brandy Philippi. 11:50 left before halftime.
And it's a situation where the Yellow Jackets don't even have a shot yet at this point, and you don't want to get too far behind because then the game will just be gone. So it's almost like a first half desperation move to go to this just to try to get down, try to get some shots, because you really don't want to be a situation where, say, you're down 3-4-0 at halftime.
Far side throw in for the Polar Bears.
Substitution number 14, Haley Mcguire.
Haley Mcguire comes into the game here. It's got to be a foul on the Jackets, and it is. Mcguire, freshman out of Lone Tree, Colorado for the Polar Bears. 35th minute, here comes the free kick. Played into the box. From left to right side, chip back in front. Good defense from Donahue. First shot from Mcguire never found its intended target. Now Beckham sends it wide.
Well, and the Jackets' inability to clear the ball at times has been scary in the last couple of games. Seen a lot of swings and misses off of those clearance, and that can come right back at you. Fortunate for the Yellow Jackets there that it was able to get out, but again, that just causes Ohio Northern to keep the ball, and they're coming right back at them.
Dangerous Fuller in the corner, holding it. Maguire now wants to center it with the right foot. It's deflected almost into the goal. Goodness gracious. Morgan Gray, in an attempt to knock it away, almost perfectly buried it in the upper 90.
And that one's all about body positioning. And, as a defender, you'd rather have your back to the goal and be facing out, because if it deflects, it's probably not going straight back. She was sideways there. As soon as it hit her shin guard, it was there.
Headed down, banged around, and a goal kick.
That corner kick was taken by number 9, Allison Contenza.
Well, the Yellow Jackets look like they're playing against a team right now that they are struggling to contend with. And I think somewhere along the way here, I realize they've got a fairly young group on the field, and there's only a couple seniors on this team, but somewhere along the way it's gut check time, isn't it? You've dropped a couple games in a row. You haven't played very well lately, and in danger of falling to 0-2 in conference play. Fuller with a great cross, beat Bruno. She had the backside open, but it slipped through. Another goal kick. I mean, right now, Ohio Northern has been the far superior team in this first half.
Well, they have, and you can see why they're getting votes. And honestly, from watching this, they should be in the top 25 at the moment. This is a very talented team out there, and they're playing well. And when the Yellow Jackets are making an adjustment, they're adapting to it right away, and that's just a sign of a quality team. And you're seeing it right now with the new Yellow Jackets formation. Those wingers are having to be checking back and play the defense, and now Ohio Northern's just attacking on the wings before they can get back, and those crosses that keep going in are dangerous.
Donahue up toward Mcguire. Beckham has it. Here comes Carissa Beckman. Polar bear throw. 38th minute, and that one was thrown out of bounds. Megan Breyer and Sienna Ward have the 2 Ohio Northern goals tonight. They've taken 11 shots, 5 on goal, and Ohio Northern has 7 first-half corner kicks. Baldwin Wallace does not have a shot or a corner kick to speak of. BW did have 1 set piece. Morgan Gray took it from about 50 yards away from the net. And she had a decent service, but nobody even came close to getting on the end of it for BW. Deal there by Maddie Farrell. Played it into traffic, got the ball back, but it was tapped out of play by Guido.
And one thing that's impressive with this Ohio Northern team, and I haven't seen it with many of the Yellow Jackets opponents so far, and a little bit of this is because I'm partial to left backs, spending about half of my college career there. But Beckham, I love to see that she's getting forward on the attack.
Yeah, she's a pretty impressive playmaker. Ohio Northern, again, possessing in a dangerous spot. Somehow got that cross off. Lobbed back in front. Good defense there. Yeah, Beckham, her speed is an asset for sure, but I'm pretty impressed with her vision of the field and the way she can create.
Yeah, her vision's outstanding, and that ball that she played from the left-hand side all the way across the right-hand side. For those who really don't know the game or who haven't struck a ball like that, I can tell you the technique she just used for that ball was not easy. That's one where you have to hit it with your laces. You've got to lean over it and drive it low, and that's what she did, and that's why it skips with power accurately. just above the surface, and that's just a brilliant ball that she played across, and probably the best ball we've seen all night. Again, one of those you said doesn't show up in the stat sheet, but from watching the game, it's impressive.
About 5.5 minutes left in the first half. The Yellow Jackets are looking for any kind of life that they can cling to here. We've seen a couple of good plays start to develop, but they seem to fizzle out too quickly. And I think some of it too is, frankly, the reality of dealing with life after an All-American. When you've got someone like Rachel Bender up top, Rachel was not just an All-American because of the statistics that she put up. She pretty much had all parts of her game at an elite level for Division III. 8th corner kick coming. Notably, her speed. And there was a reason why she was able to outrun a lot of the defenders she played against. This year, the team has to play a little bit more of truly as a team. A couple of subs coming on here. Leshnak checks back in. Maddie Vitt is on as well. Low driving corner headed by the Polar Bears. Snuck through. Played back into the middle. Oh my gosh. That is a brilliant goal by Ohio Northern Sydney Leshnak. That was outstanding.
And that's just a beautiful ball whipped in low on the ground, and that one's curling towards the back post. And so all that had to really be done is step in, get a poke on it, redirect it. And that wasn't even that powerful of a shot. It wasn't even that great of a touch. It was just one of those things. All she had to do is stick her boot out. That deflection puts it right in the back.
Leshnak with great awareness to stay where she was on that play. Ball came to the near side. What a terrific goal. Easily the most impressive of the 3 Ohio Northern first half strikes.
I would say so, and it's one thing where it's not just that Leshnak got a touch on the ball and was able to put it in off of a good cross, but the way that she just beat Andrea Scatino there at the back post and just left her man in the dust and got in front. That's impressive. It's a good goal, and this is exactly what head coach Jim Wyken didn't want, is 3-0 at halftime.
Here comes Ohio Northern again. 3.5 minutes before the break.
Assist number 8, Maggie Omer. And the goal scored by number 27, Sydney Leshnak.
You know, they're giving, that can't be right. They're giving Maggie Omer the credit for the assist, but she's not on the field and hasn't played yet. I think that ball was struck by Allison Contenta.
Number 11, Jersey Zito.
No, they're going to give it to Jersey Zito. Again, apologize for not having replay available. Hope you enjoyed the goal in real time. It was impressive. Right-footed forward. Another Northern build-up here. Turn and right-footed shot, and Bruno can't keep it out. 4-0 Ohio Northern. Long-range missile that time.
Yeah, and that's just poor from the Jackets defensive-wise. They let her on her right foot. She was forced to the left side, didn't have that great of an angle, and then Yellow Jackets overcommitted, and then all she had to do was pivot and turn and just got it off with the right foot, and she got behind that and launched it, and that's a beautiful goal by Ohio Northern, and they're rolling at this point.
Emma Barney on the tally. Didn't want to say it was the wrong young lady. I thought for a second it could have been Rearing, but definitely Emma Barney. So Barney scores her 3rd goal of the season, and all of a sudden Ohio Northern has a 4-0 lead, having scored twice now in 2 minutes.
Well, and something that's so impressive about this team too is it's not just senior balance. It's they've got players that are freshmen, sophomores. I mean, just all their classes are so balanced. It's not just senior top heavy.
Yellow Jackets trying to get in the locker room and stop the bleeding. You know, it'll be interesting to see how BW comes out in the second half. From a shape perspective, from a personnel perspective, from an attitude and body language perspective. Because the team has given up 8 goals now in their last 2 halves of soccer. You need somebody from a leadership angle to really step up and try to take control. And that doesn't have to be an upperclassman necessarily. But somewhere along the way, somebody has to try and take control of this game. Barney with a good feed out wide to the right. Played back into the middle. Well defended by Poptic.
That's Jerkago.
I'm sorry, Jerkago, you're right. Haley Mcguire was lurking on that left post. Just about a minute to go. And a foul on Ohio Northern.
Well, and I'm with you. I don't 100% know what they're going to come out with in the second half, but I can tell you what it shouldn't be. And that's what they're playing with in the back right now because it's way too wide open. I know they switched to go more attacking to try to get forward, but it's causing an issue. And obviously Ohio Northern just keeps coming at them, and it's even more intense than it was previously. So I think it's a situation where maybe you need to consider going to 5 in the back or just try to pack the box a little bit more, keep them from getting good shots off, and hope you get something off of a counter.
I don't disagree with that, but we'll talk about it in the second half. The idea of 5 in the back when you're down 4-0 seems a little odd to me, just in terms of you need bodies forward, but you got to get the ball out of your own end too. I understand that. I mean, you got to have
7, 6.
You got to get possession somewhere along the way, and this has been a 45-minute bad half for Baldwin Wallace in all facets. The Yellow Jackets did not take a single shot, and they did not have a corner kick. Their closest set piece came from 50 yards away from the net. Ohio Northern with 4 goals in the first half and 8 corner kicks. It was as though the field was tilted. That was a tough first half for BW.
Yeah, and you said it. That's just a tough one. That's one where couldn't really get out of their own half, and when they did, couldn't get the final touch on the ball, and really nothing happened inside of the Ohio Northern 30, and Northern just kept coming on the outside on the attack, and I mean that's pretty much how the first half went, and they finished their shots.
We'll step aside at halftime. Ohio Northern 4, Baldwin Wallace nothing on BWYellowJackets.com.
rosters.
Yeah, she did.
Said she'd be right back.
There you go.
Kick the bleachers pretty good.
Oh, nice.
She actually has a back under.
Welcome back to the start of the second half on a night that has not been kind to the Yellow Jackets. Ohio Northern has looked every bit of their borderline national ranking tonight, receiving votes in the latest national poll. And they have a 4-0 lead over the Yellow Jackets as we start the second half. I'm Brendan Gulick with Cole McDaniel. Cole, your thoughts on the first half where the Yellow Jackets are still looking for their first shot?
Yeah, I think the first half was one of those where Ohio Northern just proved how dominant they are. And the Yellow Jackets just played in their hand, and a little bit of it is based off of quality and how good Northern is, but they haven't been able to move the ball around.
Fuller slides this one to the left. Nienaber back across the middle, deflected. And Courtney Marzensky, who's out there for BW to start the second half, able to help clear that one out of harm's way for a minute. Well, if you're just tuning in, BW needs to hit the reset button. They gave up 4 goals in the second half last game to Capital, and they gave up 4 goals in the first half to Ohio Northern here tonight. The Jackets started the season 7-2, but they have dropped 3 in a row, and in these 3.5 games now at this point, the team has given up 3, 4, and 4 goals apiece. It's been a rough stretch. Jackets are a bit down on their luck lately, looking for something to perhaps go their way. Kind of Poptic back in it right back to get us started in the second half. That's a classy move by Fuller. A second one. Team's leading goal scorer buries another. Wow. Impressive move by Jenna Fuller, and it is 5-0 Ohio Northern.
And that was one where Fuller just split the center backs and used her speed, put the touch behind, and she put that in the back of the net. And you see Lindsay Valentine is the goalkeeper out there now, and nothing she could do about that. Just had to watch it go by into the back of the net. And that's a quick start for Ohio Northern, matching their highest total for goals in a single game so far, as they've had 5 a couple times.
Valentine, a sophomore from Springboro, down south of Dayton. She's a Springboro Panther in high school, and she's playing in just her second game. In fact, prior to tonight, she's only been in goal for about 7.5 minutes this year. So Jim Woitkin using tonight's game as an opportunity to give some playing time to some kids that haven't had opportunities quite yet, or haven't had many of them. We stressed the youth of this team early in the game. And on one hand, look, if you're down 5-0 in any game, the likelihood of coming back to win that game is pretty small. So you kind of have to readjust your goals for the night, figure out what you want to get out of the game. You've still got 42 minutes worth of game rep here, and coaches will tell you time and time again how hard it is to replicate game speed in practice. This is Fuller along the end line, cleared away. And so hopefully the Yellow Jackets can try and get something positive out of what's been a tough night.
When you said it, and the team knew that they were coming in as an underdog. You know, everybody knew that with how Ohio Northern's been. So if you could even scrap away a goal being the underdog in this, it would be beneficial moving down the road and give something positive to talk about.
The Ohio Northern corner kick, number 22.
Ninth corner of the night for Ohio Northern.
Neighbor.
Rose Neighbor will play it in. She goes up top, and the Jackets cut it off. Good job there by Farrell. Well, I don't want to take anything away from the 5 different players that have scored tonight for Ohio Northern. But I really think the best player on the field is their left back. I mean, I have really been impressed with the way Carissa Beckman has played. Jenna Fuller's very good. And obviously the way she took it straight at the goal there, avoided 2 defenders, and buried a shot. You can't really look past that. But in terms of doing the kinds of things that you need to win games outside of scoring goals, I mean, Beckham has done it all tonight. She's possessed it in space. She's created her own opportunities. She's had good clearances. She's worked up the field. She's worked in the back. I mean, really, I'm interested in your thoughts. Feel free to disagree, but I've been more impressed with Beckham than anybody else.
Well, no, I completely agree. You know, I had pointed out earlier how outstanding she's done, but really that whole defense in general, and not a single senior out of those 4 in the defense.
Fuller tried to pick out the near corner. That one spills away and does get out of bounds. It's pretty good follow-through from Lauren Naso.
That was one where Valentine tried to dive in from the side and scoop it underneath. Probably should have gone hands above and tried to parry it to the side. And that's just one where the young goalkeeper hasn't had much time, and she'll continue to learn from that.
Into the middle, Valentine got bumped, but hung on to the ball. Good for Lindsay, too, especially after spilling one a moment ago, to be a little more sure-handed there. All right, back wide on the left, opportunity for Leshnak. Leshnak scored the 3rd Ohio Northern goal of the night. And to be frank, it was probably the best, even still to this point. An assist from Jersey Zido, but Leshnak with just a marvelous finish. Really duped the defense. It was nothing more than an easy put away by the end of the play, but she made something out of nothing, and that was pretty special.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you go through the whole situation of, you think that the big goal, the one that came from far out, that type of thing, is always the best goal. But I think in that situation was one of those where, based off of the cross and based off of just beating the defender behind her and getting a poke on it, I think that was a pretty crucial goal.
Tonight's Yellow Jacket game brought to you by the Crown Plaza in Middleburg Heights. If you're looking for a quality place to stay before or after any Yellow Jacket contest, choose the Crown Plaza. And by Medical Mutual of Ohio, the official healthcare provider for Baldwin Wallace University. Kayla Webb couldn't catch up to it. And a throw in.
And that sums up the passing for the Yellow Jackets here tonight, as they just can't connect even when they're 10 yards away from each other.
Well, unfortunately, I feel like that has spanned beyond tonight. I mean, that seems to be a common theme in the duration of this tough stretch in which the Yellow Jackets have only scored 2 goals over their last 3.5 games. And they have given up 14. Northern throw. This is Fuller. Actually, Barney, I beg your pardon. Heavy touch from Barney. Nobody came to it. Near side, Kayla Webb. Guido pushed over. So a quick whistle on Haley Moss.
And on the attacking end for Ohio Northern, that was one of those situations where the Yellow Jackets got fortunate that there was a missed touch there, because off of throw-ins you cannot be offsides off of that initial throw. The Yellow Jackets should have kept her in front. Again, she got behind and had plenty of room and space. But again, the rules in soccer is you can't be offsides directly off of the throw, so she can go as far back as she wants.
I can't believe I just called her Moss. Haley Moses. It slipped out. Sorry about that. Hope Haley's family got a good laugh out of that. Senior out of Mason having a really good year and playing well here this evening. Ohio Northern 7-2-2 here in 2019. And they've got big-time aspirations. Meanwhile, elsewhere around the conference, Otterbein pounding Marietta 3-0, 51st minute. John Carroll 1, Mount Union 0, 55th minute. Muskingum leads Wilmington 2-0. And they are closing in on the 1 hour mark. Another opportunity for Breyer. Dribbles around Valentine, then puts it back across. Surprised she didn't just let it rip.
And that was a beautiful through ball, placed perfectly, splitting the defense, and Breyer straight into the path of the goal, and she got greedy. She tried to dribble around the keeper, and Valentine got the crucial poke.
Fuller couldn't get to the ball before Morgan Gray. Chalk it up, another corner kick.
Corner kick number 22,
11
Rose
for Ohio Northern tonight. It's kind of remarkable they haven't scored off one yet. Seen a couple of short corners. Beckham with the left foot trying to pick out somebody either on the backside or the top corner.
The men's soccer team,
Neither one of them worked out well enough.
8-4 overall entering today. Traveled to Ada tonight to compete against OAC opponent Ohio Northern University.
That was a good look. Again, I think I understand the idea from Ohio Northern going back there and then trying to swing it in, but I still haven't seen them do what I think they can do with their height and put it on top of the goalkeeper. And although Valentine's taller than Bruno, they still have the size advantage. So why not try to whip it in inside the 6?
Statistically speaking, Ohio Northern is, for the most part, about upper quartile of the 433 teams that play across Division III women's soccer. They're not completely dominant in anything individually, but they work pretty well together as a team. Jenna Fuller, obviously, their shining star with 11 goals on the season now.
How about that speed from Beckham there? She just recovers.
And she wants it again. Look at her flying up the pitch. Calls for the ball back in the corner. Beckham the step over, draws another corner kick. And that kid's impressive.
Yeah, that's the type of left back coaches dream of, one who defensively is solid but can also just attack and has a really strong left foot.
Knee neighbor. Right foots it into the middle. This is headed off the top corner. Almost perfectly tucked in.
And there's the ball.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the one I was calling for, and still just a tiny bit out from the goalkeeper, but right off of the 6 there. That's dangerous, and almost winning the upper 90.
I think it caught a little bit more of the post than it did the crossbar, judging by the way that ball reacted, but that was truly inches away from being a 6th goal. Meanwhile, the Jackets put one in from the corner. Courtney Marzensky will take it any way she can get it, but I think she'll even tell you that she was not shooting. That was a cross all the way that snuck into the side of the net.
hey, whatever works, works. You know, it was obvious she was going for the cross there. That one just flowed over the keeper, went into the back post, and that's a good finish. You know, sometimes you just have to take it, shake your head, and smile. And it's a situation where now we have the same score line as we had last year in this matchup.
Courtney Marzensky, the junior out of Valley Forge High School over in Parma. She gets Baldwin Wallace on the board.
First shot of the game, too.
It was the Yellow Jackets' first cross-slash shot of the game. Good for Courtney. Last year had 2 goals, career high 4 points. Didn't play a whole lot her freshman year. But academic All-OAC last year, and great to see her get a chance to score. We'll see if that helps loosen up BW. The goal comes in the 57th minute. Perhaps a sour taste for Ohio Northern. It ruins their shutout. They give up their first goal in conference. Another good through ball. Breyer trying to run onto it. Beats Scatino, turns the corner, and a good sliding effort from Valentine.
And aside from the one spill Valentine had, she's played pretty well in there, and she's been aggressive and come out and gotten everything, and I'm impressed with what Valentine's done to this point.
Hard to argue with it. Lindsay Valentine is giving it her all, no doubt. Nienaber will take this corner. 19 shots from Ohio Northern, and they've put 5 in the back of the net.
22, Nienaber.
Corner kick hangs into the middle. Knocked down by Moses. Far side, Marzensky sends it out. Kayla Webb. We've praised the left side defensively enough. Perhaps maybe Rearing wanted a little love of her own. That was a good effort. And scooped up. Well, we're at the 1 hour mark, and Baldwin Wallace trails Ohio Northern by a tally of 5-1. Coverage of tonight's game is presented to you by the Cleveland Clinic Sports Health Division, the official healthcare provider for BW Athletics. By American International. If you require a company with proven performance, rely on American International. Kayla Webb. Good move. But too soft across the middle of the park.
And the men are at Ada right now, and a score update from them is they've got just under 30 minutes to go in the second half. And they still trail Ohio Northern 1-0, that goal coming early in the game.
Great win for BW men. Opening up conference play on Saturday against Capital. That was huge for them. They so desperately needed to get off on a good note. How about Joey Geither being named OAC Offensive Player of the Week this week? Happy to see that they had a good showing. We'll look forward to whatever Saturday night has in store for them.
Yeah, Geither, a guy who's often been in Rupel's shadows because Rupel's getting all the accolades, but Geither's a guy who goes out there, he works hard every time. He's considered an experienced leader on the team, and he leads through his actions out there, and he's oftentimes picking up the assists too, Danny. So it's nice to see him get the recognition and getting those 2 goals in that win.
And also number 28, Abigail Matthews.
Abigail Matthews, Sienna Ward, and Allison Condenza coming on for Ohio Northern.
Number 3, Julia Allen. Number 9, Olivia Kane. And number 17, rounding out the BW
Couple of subs for
Caitlin
BW. Olivia Kane, Caitlin Mcguire, and Fairview Park Jr. Julia Allen coming on. Julia's playing in just her 4th game of the season for BW. Sent away here by Grierson. It's kind of hard to digest the thought process here, the morale of BW after the goal. It was nice to get one on the board, but still down 5-1, and Ohio Northern not showing any signs of taking their foot off the gas here. I think they're showing you that you need to hit that reset button pretty quickly, because while the Jackets, I think frankly they would admit they were lucky to have scored on a ball that was certainly not a shot. Ohio Northern, ever since that goal, has continued to dominate play. You're kind of hoping that, and I don't mean you personally, but in general, you're kind of hoping that BW was going to score that goal and maybe relax a little bit, play it a little more freely.
Yeah, and you're right. It's not necessarily happening. It was one of those things where they got about 60 seconds of happiness, and then it kind of went back to what we've seen.
Good coverage by Beckham. That ball slid all the way across the face of the goal once more. Caden couldn't catch up. '64th minute. Baldwin Wallace trailing Ohio Northern 5-1. There goes knee neighbor far side.
I think one thing that has to do with it, though, is it's not fully BW needing to just take that goal and then kind of take that energy and then continue to play, and then just they can immediately get the ball down the floor and play it around. I don't think that was necessarily all of it. You see just the quality of Ohio Northern to even just concede. They regroup, they get back together. You could tell that they were, talking to each other, pointing out some different things and adjust, and then they came right back playing like they did before the goal. And that's a credit to Ohio Northern that they can take a little punch like that. Obviously they're up big, but they can still take a punch and just come right back and play the same way they did prior to the goal.
Polar Bears looking full speed ahead here. Ran right into Maddie Farrell. Gerson finally picks it up. Well, BW's got another really tough game coming on Saturday. Be at Otterbein at 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. By the way, I just heard that Otterbein's campus is about to be buzzing. I didn't know this. The Reich Center down at Otterbein, which is their basketball gymnasium and houses many of the coaches' offices, is actually currently shut down until the 15th. Shut down Monday morning at 8 o'clock this week through the 15th for the I don't know if it's the Democratic primary or some sort of Democratic debate, but governmentally, the United States has come in and a bunch of the news networks have come in and they're hosting something with the DNC at the Reich Center at Otterbein. So we'll see if the Yellow Jackets' travel plans are somehow altered a bit because of the chaos on campus. Holy smokes. Is Ward serious right now? What a goal. Sienna Ward pulled a Courtney Marzensky, and it's 6-1.
And that's one of those where it's hard to tell whether she was actually trying to cross or shoot that one, because the way it was floated looked like more of a chip. And I think that one might have been a little bit planned out. Maybe she wasn't trying to get directly in, but she was trying to loft it over the goalkeeper to the back post and maybe either have somebody follow it or for it to float in. And I mean, it just falls right in the side netting, and there's nothing Valentine can do about that.
Polar Bears substitution number 14, Haley Mcguire.
Haley Mcguire comes on as the Yellow Jackets give up a 6th goal. BW had allowed 4 goals in a game twice this season, but had not allowed more than that until tonight. Perhaps it's a little bit odd to see that your opponent has significantly outscored you, and yet even with tonight's result, should the Yellow Jackets go on to lose, they're still going to have a winning record. Baldwin Wallace has scored 17 goals in what will be 13 games if they don't score again, so that's 1.31 goals per game. And including the 6 tonight, they've given up 23 goals in 13 games. That's 1.77 goals per game. But the team is looking at a 7-6 record.
BW women's cross-country senior runner Kelly Brennan has been named the
and it's one of those things where we had talked about it during the non-conference play, and they do have a decent team down there. They're still young. They're still trying to figure things out, especially like you said, the life after Rachel Bender and trying to find goals. But it's also one of those situations where, you know, that first grouping of games is a very different caliber than that next grouping of games they went into. And then that speed of conference play is just another level.
Fuller's shot, partially blocked.
Congratulations, Kelly.
Fuller comes near side, good little dummy, looking for help. Nutmegs a defender and lost possession. Allen's back heel was creative, but they lost the ball. Played across. The Yellow Jackets a little slow to clear it. Moses taps to her left. Now it's Ward. Boy, that's not only a foul, but sloppy play by Scatino. She's lucky she's not booked for that one.
Yeah, that is a booking in some games. Depends upon the officials. This one decides not. One thing I do want to point out off of Allen giving the ball away, it's good to see a number 9, a center striker, recover and run back and play defense.
Right foot, this one on frame, and Valentine punches it over the bar. That's a good play after Abigail Matthews put a good-looking ball on goal.
Haley Mcguire for the Polar Bear corner.
Here comes Ohio Northern's 14th corner kick. They've almost put in one. This one's pulled out. To the left side, Valentine's got it. I'll tell you what, I would imagine the coaching staff for Ohio Northern, look, you've scored 6 goals, it's been an effective night, but to go 0 for 14 converting corner kicks feels like kind of a gut punch.
Yeah, especially when you have that size advantage, too. We talked about it. They just haven't been able to execute.
Boy, that was a little lucky there for Megan Grierson. That ball pinballed around. It could have easily popped away from her.
I think it's one of those situations, too, where obviously the game of soccer, one of the times you can actually draw up plays is from set pieces, is from your corners. And so this might be a sign to go back to the drawing board and try to draw up a new plan and a new corner kick play.
Jackets bringing Duval and Jerkego back in the game. And Ohio Northern makes a couple of subs too. And they definitely brought on Ann Major. I think Lauren Naso may have just checked on too. I'm not sure if she was in prior.
Sub on the pitch for ONU, number 16, Lauren Naso.
Yep, Naso is one of the two newbies.
And Major. For the Yellow Jackets, number 14, Caitlin Jerkego. And also for BW, number 33.
Ward tries to turn the corner. She's got Donahue with her right on her hip. Farrell wanted to play it across. Good touch from Allison Contenza. Fuller with the defense right there. Good job from Sydney Graneman.
Well, one thing with Ohio Northern, and you just see the way they're moving the ball around, and one thing that's hard for the defense and why you see the Yellow Jackets running around is you see that little up, the quick back, and then through to the outside, and that just tears apart the center midfield.
Fuller took a less aggressive play there, and I don't think it was the right decision. She tried to flick it toward the corner when she had an opportunity going straight ahead. Now the ball just finds her, and she rattles it off the post. Boy, the Jackets dodge a bullet. That's twice now Ohio Northern's hit the post. And both of them undoubtedly had good chances to go. This one played across offside.
And I know Valentine didn't get a touch on it or anything, but I do have to credit her positioning to force that shot going wide. She was quick to react. She came out. I mean, that could have been an easy finish into the back of the net. And the way she came out, she wasn't too close to her near post. She was kind of in the perfect spot, taking away the angles. So it made it so they were very narrow windows for Fuller to put the ball in. And because of that, that led to the ball hitting the post.
Perhaps Lindsay Valentine is putting herself in the conversation to get more opportunities. Polar Bears have it. 73rd minute, up 6-1. A little better play in the midfield from Baldwin Wallace. That's a good find.
Yeah, and the one controlling the ball and possessing it around was Alex Guido, and we normally see her up top and in the midfield there, showing that she's valuable and can move the ball around. Well done by Guido, not in her traditional spot.
Beckham sticks with it, gets a friendly bounce. Slides it across. Oh, it should have been finished. And Jackets get lucky.
That is the best cross of the night. I know it's one of those where it's just slid low on the ground, but she drove that with the inside of her laces, leaned over it, and had just the power to skip it by Valentine right at the 6. I mean, that's perfect placement.
Tap to Sienna Ward. We've seen some pretty good defenders in the OAC over the years. And perhaps in some regard, maybe Beckham is just having a good game. But, I mean, I'm struggling to come up with somebody off the top of my head defensively for one of the Yellow Jacket opponents that has made that kind of an impact. It's been a little while.
Maybe she is having a good game, but I can tell you it's not just her having a good game. She's actually that good because of the balls she's playing and the technique she's using. You don't see that all the way around the conference. I mean, she's taking some top quality technique and capitalizing on it in the run of play.
Matthews, too tall. No, and I think she's showing that her field vision is pretty instinctual. You know, you don't make some of those kinds of plays more than once in a game, just sort of on a whim. But really impressed with the way that Beckham's played. I would think she's going to make her way onto an all-conference team. I'd be pretty surprised if she was left off a ballot. Only a sophomore, but darn good player. Elsewhere around the league tonight, John Carroll still leads Mount Union 1-0 in the 77th minute. I don't know if Marietta's thrown in the towel, but it's 5-0 in the 73rd. Wilmington put one on the board, 80th minute down at Muskingum, 3-1 Muskies. Subs on both sides coming on. What do you want to see from the Yellow Jackets here in the last 14 minutes?
I mean, obviously they're going to try to get some people some playing
Yellow
time.
Jackets
So
up, number
when
32,
people who haven't been on the field
Mcguire.
as much come in, it's not going to be one of those situations where you're going to see the ball move around any better usually, especially against this caliber of an Ohio Northern team. But I think what I'd want to see is just to see that they understand the mental side of what they're doing, to see them not getting out of position, keeping the ball in front of them, keeping Ohio Northern in front of them. I think that's going to be crucial, just to see that they're fully grasping the mental aspect of what they're supposed to be doing.
Of course, this Ohio Northern team last year littered all over the All-OAC list. Sidney Leshnak was Defender of the Year in the conference. Megan Grierson,
On the pitch for
Goalkeeper of the
Ohio
Year.
Northern, number 10, Emma Barney.
Emma Barney coming back on.
And also number 30, Madison Vitt.
And Madison Vitt returns. But Haley Moses and Jenna Fuller, both first-team players last year. Had a bunch of players, too, that made their way on the second team, a couple of which have graduated.
And Grierson, somebody who you mentioned, she's had a pretty uneventful night so far. Still only one shot. And that was one of those that we said was kind of a cross and no chance for her to even touch it. So she hasn't really even touched the ball at all, aside from a couple clearances with her feet.
Well, we mentioned that this is pretty impressive offensive showing from Ohio Northern. You might remember we said earlier in the broadcast last year's game was 5-1. Well, it's nowhere near what they did against Muskingum last year when they hung 11 on the Muskies. 11-0. That had to be one of the most impressive performances in program history.
Yeah, 11 in soccer is an unreal number.
It's unfathomable.
If you want your football comparison, that's kind of like hanging about 88.
Yeah, I was going to say 70. Yep. Well, this Ohio Northern team, after falling in the OAC championship a year ago, they've got big aspirations on their mind. Last year, 14-4-1, their final number. But losing in the 91st minute in overtime for the OAC championship against Otterbein last year, and they did not make the NCAA tournament as an at-large team. Maybe this year putting together a slightly better resume in the non-conference, although frankly last year they started 9-2 in the regular season before finishing 14-4-1.
For BW number 34, Kaylee DeHaas.
Kaylee DeHaas, freshman from Tippecanoe High School in Troy, checks in at center back. Played wide to the right here. 10 minutes to go in regulation. And unfortunately for the Yellow Jackets, the result has not really been in question for much of the night. They were down 4-0 at halftime, giving up goals in the 11th, 24th, 41st, 43rd, and 47th minutes before Courtney Marzensky scored on BW's only shot of the night on a ball that was hit pretty deep in the right corner and frankly probably more accurately described as a cross than a goal. That came in the 58th minute. Then Sienna Ward did something similar 9 minutes later in the 67th. Ohio Northern's taken 23 shots. 13 on goal, 6 have gone in. And they have 14 corner kicks tonight. Jackets, 1 shot, no corners. Not a winning formula, unfortunately. And you don't question the effort. I think BW has still played hard. I don't think I've ever seen a play on the field where I thought to myself, gee, that wasn't full effort. Frankly, folks, Ohio Northern is that good. And the Jackets have run into a couple of pretty darn good teams here in the the meat of their regular season. And it won't be long before they have a chance to reset. Certainly not predicting a similar outcome against Otterbein, but recognizing that Otterbein and Ohio Northern are pretty much on equal footing, and it'll be another tough challenge on Saturday. Good play building up here. They're going to go wide to the right side. Contenza wants to get centralized, slots it in. Barney sprints to it. Corner number 15.
Yeah, and this is one of those things where you said Ohio Northern is that good, and they are. The other thing is the Yellow Jackets just have not had enough communication in the back, and right there, Ohio Northern missed an opportunity. If they played a one-time flighted ball into the back post there was nobody on the backside.
Contenza takes the corner into the middle. Follow-up shot, barely wide right.
And that was one of those where it came off hot and it was just hooking wide. Again, if it had curled the other direction, probably would have gone in, but you know, it looks like it went by pretty close and then just continued to bend away.
It was hit by Leshnak.
On Wednesday, as well as a 2-goal performance and the game winner in BW's 3-0 win at Capitol in the OAC opener Saturday. Congratulations, Joey.
Regal hasn't seen a lot of time tonight, which perhaps is a bit surprising. She was dispossessed there. Bella's played a lot so far this season, but haven't seen too much of her so far tonight. At least not until this point in the game. 83rd minute, played into the back of the box. That was a good service. Polar Bears still have it. All right, we've reached that point in the night. I'll ask you a trivia question here in a second. See if you know the answer. It's Ohio Northern related trivia, so it's not totally off the wall. We'll wait for a dead ball, though. Good fight in the corner. Stays in play. Barney back up top. Contenza up. Saved by Valentine. Wow, Northern still has it. Leshnak crosses to the backside. It's deflected in. How about that? Good find. Haley Mcguire makes it 7-1 Ohio Northern.
That's a good ball. One of those, again, with the laces, low driven, right to the back post. It would have been going wide, so thankful on the Ohio Northern standpoint that they had somebody on the back post, because that would have skipped wide and gone out for a goal kick. But Poptic had an opportunity. It was just coming in so hot it would have been hard for her to react, and Ohio Northern gets another goal.
Second of the year for Mcguire as Barney, Vitt, and Matthews all check out. So it is 7-1 Ohio Northern in the 84th minute. All right, there's only one other collegiate mascot in the country that is a polar bear. One other team, any other division 1, 2, or 3. There's only one other school in the nation that calls themselves the Polar Bears. Do you know who it is?
That's a hard one.
I'll give you a hint. It's a Division 3 school.
I knew it wasn't D1.
I'll even tell you what part of the country it is if you can't narrow it down on your own. After that, no hints. You're out of luck.
Yeah, that is a tough one, because the other thing too is, you know, you go D3 and there's so many schools out there. So the fact that you know this in the first place, you have to give you credit.
I have a lot of really pointless, useless knowledge somewhere stuffed in my head. Good move by Philippi. This one struck from well out top, wide to the right, and it's off of Ohio Northern. So a corner kick coming.
I could play one of those games and give you pretty much all of the D1 mascots, but you give me the D3, and aside from the Ohio schools, I'm pretty much stumped. So no, I have no clue who the other one is.
The Bowdoin Polar Bears up in Bowdoin, Maine.
Oh.
Switch to Maddie Fair.
Well, that would make sense.
They are members of the NESCAC, and frankly, they are a very good athletic program. Yellow Jackets played their first corner of the night in the 85th minute. Nothing came of it. Left-footed forward. Valentine is there. Off the top of my head, and I don't know for every sport, but I can tell you that Bowdoin's women's basketball team played in the national championship game in March of 2018. It would have been the 17-18. Let's try that again. March of 2017. It was 2 basketball seasons ago. They played in the national championship game, but oftentimes find themselves with some national qualifying tournaments, so you might see Polar Bears elsewhere.
Previous substitutions, number 13.
All right, Ohio Northern's making a substitution on the goal line.
26 for BW. Kate Mock, and also number 28, Jay Vesbury.
Trying to see which of the other 2 young ladies that is. I believe it's Christy Katrine. One of their backup goalkeepers wears 0-1, and one wears 1. This is, I believe, Christy Katrine, sophomore goalkeeper out of Springboro, and former high school teammate of Lindsay Valentine, who's playing on the other end of the field. That's kind of cool.
Well, it's funny. Sometimes you see the 00. Not often you see the 0-1.
The 0-1 and the 1. That's right. There's a 0, 0, 1, and 1.
That's funny. As for the trivia, I have to give you props to that one for stumping me there, because there was no way I was going to get it, because honestly I forgot about Maine up in the top northeast corner. It would have been one of the last states I would have been thinking of.
You forgot about Maine. That's even more alarming. Well, you haven't earned your degree quite yet.
Hey,
so
well, it's one of those
chat
things.
With your teachers about that.
If we go down the list, I would have named it, but it would have been in the 40s when I started listing.
That's pretty funny. I told you it was in the NESCAC. 88th minute, service into the box. Struck by the Jackets' Courtney Kofer. Here comes Ohio Northern. Contenza, that's another good ball. Boy, oh boy. Maggie Omer, who's in for the first time. Back to Contenza. She slid it through 2 defenders. This Ohio Northern team is relentless. Very, very impressed with the way they've played tonight. 89th minute, Ohio Northern 7, Baldwin Wallace 1.
And we have a final in the men's game in Ada, and it's going to finish how it started. Ohio Northern gets that 1-0 win, and that first goal came in the 10th minute.
So the Jackets will come back home this weekend with a record of 8-5. We'll see them play Otterbein on Saturday.
1 minute and counting.
And basically, that's just revenge of the 1-0 win for the Jackets here at home last year.
That was a very memorable victory for Baldwin Wallace. Easily their biggest win of the year last year.
Absolutely.
You can make the case that was one of their bigger wins in recent program history, considering the quality of the program at Ohio Northern the last few years. Certainly looks like the Yellow Jacket men's team, who's had some couple of tough runs the last couple of years, looks like they might be turning a corner here, having won the first game in conference, a near loss at Ohio Northern. We've got a lot to play for the rest of the regular season, and anxious to see how things work out for them.
7, 6,
Meanwhile, tonight,
5,
not a night the Yellow Jacket ladies are going to want to remember.
2, 1.
Final horn sounds, and Ohio Northern wraps up a 7-1 victory over the Yellow Jackets. Baldwin Wallace got one shot tonight and went in the back of the net. So hopefully the Yellow Jackets can learn some things from this game and quickly move forward. Somewhere along the way, Cole, you want to stop having the flush mentality because now it's 4 straight losses, and all 4 of them have been frustrating games. This by far the most disappointing. But somewhere along the way, you've got to take things away from having bad performances and not just say, hey, forget about it, it was a bad game.
Yeah, especially when it's a run like this. I guess if you have 1 or 2, maybe that is the case. But when it keeps happening, you kind of have to say, hey, let's wake up. And that's one of the things where the coaches can't do it. It's up to the players down there. Somebody's got to step up and take a lead, and the others have to follow. And it's just a matter of who's going to be that person that says, hey, that other stuff does matter. Let's use that as a burning fire underneath of us, and let's continue to try to work hard, and let's try to up it from where we were.
Ohio Northern goes to 8-2-2 with the win. They're 2-0 in the OAC, and the Yellow Jackets fall to 7-6, now 0-2 in conference play. Next game coming up for Baldwin Wallace. It's a big one this weekend. They've got the Ohio Northern Polar Bears on the road Saturday at 2. I should say the Otterbein Cardinals Saturday at 2 o'clock down in Westerville, and then hopefully the schedule lightens up a little bit for BW the rest of the way. For Cole McDaniel, I'm Brendan Gulick. Look forward to seeing you here on Saturday when the Jackets and Cardinals take on the men's side. It'll be a really important game for BW's men, as we mentioned, coming off that disappointing 1-0 loss at Ohio Northern. See you on Saturday, everybody. Have a great night.